Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to TSP TV and thanks for tuning into today's episode, which is gonna be about 3D printed food. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly. 3D printed food is not the thing of science fiction or the realms of fantasy. It is indeed a real thing, and it is something that's possibly coming to fast food franchise outlets near you very soon. And this is actually a video I'm a couple of weeks over due in making, and a couple of weeks ago an article come to my attention about Kentucky Fried Chicken, good old KFC, and their intentions to launch 3D printed nuggets, and they're going to kind of be beyond meat kind of substance constitution, and I don't know, it's kind of some fucking frankenfood paste type shit that they kind of then print into a nugget shape and then I guess fry it. But anyway, if I do cast your minds back a few months ago, I did put up a video about Upload, the Amazon Prime TV streaming series set in the year 2033, in which people close to death, terminally ill, diseased, had fatal accidents, such forth, they can choose to upload their memories into a virtual world and thus live eternally as long as you've got the data. But the real life world in the fictional show Upload kind of does resemble very much the possible future that we are going to be heading to. As time of recording this, many of you will be aware we are under the scammed pandemic COVID-19 2020 PSYOP false flag elites implementation of the One World Order Directive, the social engineering, the models that are the way of life to come are being implemented right now in today's society. And many of us have been stuck at home, quarantined, self-isolation, all this kind of stuff, listening to the mainstream media. But streaming apps in particular have been pushed down our throats as part of the social engineering and the predictive programming that is contained within some of these fictional pieces of entertainment that many of you may have been tuning into while you've been in social isolation, might be seeding and planting social engineering for the future. And in Upload, I did make a video, as I said a couple of months ago, about the predictive programming in that, because it isn't too far in our distant future, and are there a lot of seedings being planted within that series? Quite possibly there is. Go back and check that video out, bring yourself up to date. And if you haven't watched Upload, check it out. It's a pretty interesting show, just for the fact that it is in the not so distant future. Is this where they're heading? And as I've said many times before, the fiction does prepare us for the reality. But in that video I made a couple of months back, I did highlight a couple of times something that featured within the first season. A couple of times, actually, they made a highlight of the fact that people ate 3D printed food, and in particular, people that weren't particularly well off, like the poorer, almost on the poverty level society. These people, they don't no longer are able to afford real food. This is something that is reserved solely for the wealthy, but the regular folks that go and do their 9 to 5 or maybe multiple 9 to 5s just to make ends meet, they no longer are able to afford and eat real food that we kind of can at the moment, and are reliant on 3D printed food. And in one particular scene there was a Samsung printer, and I guess the guy who owned the Samsung 3D printer had some kind of contract with a cell phone provider, I guess, that give him exclusive Jamie Oliver recipes that he could download and print on his 3D printer. So is this where we're heading? Quite possibly so. And as I said, we just heard about KFC's intention to launch 3D printed nuggets. And we're also kind of under this scam pandemic kind of directive that we're living under. Many supermarkets and grocery stores now are limited the amount of items you can buy on certain things like milk, eggs, bread, yada yada, whoop-de-woo, ray-tay-tay, as well as hearing in the news or hidden amongst the COVID propaganda that farmers in food supply are in shortage, and we might see an increase in price on things like meat. And we're already seeing some food prices start to rise at the grocery stores in contemporary times. So where or not we are going to be leading to a time where food is actually a luxury item, and then we have to resort and rely on 3D printed food for our dietary and nutritional requirements may not be that far away. So anyway, let's go and have a look at a couple of articles in regards to this 3D printed food that may be of interest to you. Okay, guys, so here's the first one that was of interest about KFC and its 3D chicken nuggets that you can print off of a machine. So here it was a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago from Popular Mechanics, and this wasn't the only article. There's quite a few of these circulating. They were making a big deal about KFC, and obviously KFC are a very, very well-known household name. Many of you may have already had an exampled KFC's greasy, dirty chicken in a bucket previously, but whether or not you want to try their 3D printed nuggets remains to be seen. I don't think I would possibly voluntarily want to try them, even out of curiosity. But anyway, here's a little article, a little quote here. They'll be as close as possible in both taste and appearance to the real thing. We'll see about that. So anyway, Courtney Linder was the author of this particular one, and there is a bucket of chicken alongside some mashed potatoes and gravy and a tub of coleslaw there. It's disgusting, and it is, and it's quite delicious, and food porn for some folks. But anyway, in a press release, KFC announced it is creating the world's first laboratory produced chicken nuggets. Yep, you heard that right. They are laboratory produced chicken nuggets. They're not created, they're not using plant-based stuff that they've, harvested and from field, natural leaves and stuff like that. It's lab-based, all computer generated, GMOs. Anyway, KFC is partnering with Moscow-based firm 3D Bioprinting Solutions. Now, let's just, before we go any further, raise the possibility and the thought process for you there that bioprinting, if you can print 3D chicken nuggets, what's stopping you printing 3D humans or pets? Obviously, they would probably lack brain capacity or stuff like that, but with artificial intelligence, you see where I'm going? Maybe you could create some kind of Blade Runner type replicants. But anyway, Kentucky Fried Chicken could soon become Kentucky Fake Chicken. I like what they did there. Still the KFC, Kentucky Fake Chicken. And you might even say they're already there, because they do, I think, have a Beyond Chicken item, or several Beyond Chicken items on their menu currently. So, that's fake chicken already. But the 3D printed chicken, that is going to be beyond fake. That's going to kind of be like beyond meat, something along those lines. But the restaurant is experimenting with a new kind of meat, 3D bio-printed chicken nuggets. This basically means that KFC is using chicken cells and plant-based material to create a new kind of nugget. Welcome to the future of fast food. Now, you could potentially have these 3D printer vending machines where you just go and put maybe not put your coins or money in, but maybe you scan your card or your RFD tattoo, and they allow you to choose some 3D printed food that will be made right in front of your eyes. The project aims to create the world's first lab-produced chicken nuggets, KF said in the press release. They will be as close as possible in taste and appearance to the original KFC product, while being more environmentally friendly to produce than ordinary meat. Now, this environmentally friendly, we kind of add this to the ingredient here, that the climate cult in their little Pied Piper leader Greta Thunberg, the forced climatologist messiah. There, she's a little vegan, and maybe this kind of 3D printed food will be something that they target these little cultists, the teenage activists that follow her tune, and go and strike from school and protest in the streets with their colourful placards that they leave behind. But all about sustainable development and protecting the environment in climate change, stuff like that. So they will probably be only too willing to absorb the brainwashing and the product placement and the ideology that 3D printed meat is the best way to go. So there you go. And of course, sustainable development, the Agenda 2030 United Nations narrative, where they want to kind of end inequality, but in an ending inequality, they're not exactly going to raise those that are in poverty up to the standard of the middle class or even maybe the lower class. No, no, no. They are going to make everybody equally poor, and they're going to push the middle class down into the poverty and low, and that is thus how they will obtain inequality. Everyone will be equally broke and poor and reliant on state handouts such as possibly 3D printed food or maybe even good old Soylent Green crackers every Tuesday. But 3D Bio Printing Solutions, a Moscow-based tech company, will develop the chicken to make it happen. Researchers will use chicken cells and plant-based materials to create a chicken proxy that should be pretty similar in taste and texture. KFC will provide the breading and the spices so the scientists can nail the chicken's traditional buttery flavor and crispy texture. KF says there are no other methods available on the market that could allow the creation of such a complex products from animal cells. That technically is true because some of the most popular plant-based meats are made purely from plants. So they're kind of making this, as I said, they're using cells and DNA and God knows whatever in laboratories to create this kind of paste that they can then form into chicken nuggets. It tastes just like regular KFC. The Impossible Burger, and we've already mentioned that, for example, is made up of proteins from soy and potatoes, flavors from heme, and the molecule that gives meat its distinct flavor. Fats from coconut and sunflower oils. And, you know, just reading that, that sounds like something that you really want to eat. If not to me, if you kind of put that on the menu high, where we've got some proteins from soy and potatoes mixed with some heme and molecule that gives meat its distinct flavor. We've also added some fats and sunflower oils to bind it together and some starch to hold it together. Would you be ordering that? Probably not, but give it a fancy name like Impossible Burger, and hipsters will lap that shit up. But anyway, that is how the Franken food that is impossible beyond meat is produced. It's all fucking lab produced, and although they say it is from plants, it's lab generated plants. They're not grown in fields and stuff like that. Biomeat, by contrast, has exactly the same micro elements as real chicken, according to the press release, citing a study by the American Environmental Science and Technology journal. KFC says 3D bioprinted meat uses only half the energy required to produce traditional meat products. And there it goes, half the energy, sustainable development, conservation, climate change, yada yada, whoop-de-woo, ray-tay-tay. But anyway, it cuts emissions by 25 and uses 100 times less land. So are cattle, cows, and livestock going to be a thing of the past as factories and labs replace the fields and farms for our dietary requirements? Let me know in the comments below if you think that is where we're heading. But 3D bioprinting technologies, initially widely recognized in the medicine, are nowadays gaining popularity in producing foods such as meat. Youssef Kashoumi, I don't know how you say that, co-founder and managing partner of the 3D bioprinting solution, said in the release, "The future, we are hoping that the technology created as a result of our cooperation with KFC will help accelerate the launch of cell-based meat products on the market." And maybe, you know, in the future, a little bit like in the realms of the TV show upload. You might have your own 3D printer that you might be able to download the KFC application onto and then print a whole host of their menu items at home without having to leave the comfort of that home. And if or not, it is a Agenda 2030 stacking pack tiny home living compartment that you might find yourself in. That also remains to be seen, but the companies expect to begin testing of the final product sometime this fall, but it's unclear when you'll be able to get your own lab-grown meat at the drive-through window. So that was a little bit of interesting stuff about KFC and their partnership with this bioprinting company from Moscow, a Russian collusion to bring you 3D printed chicken nuggets. So anyway, let's go through and look a little more at a couple of articles that are out and about that do support and show you that this 3D printed food isn't the realms of science fiction and is probably not that far away in being a household consumer in consumerists. I don't know. You work it out. Alrighty, folks. So here's another little article here from Tech Republic. Here's how 3D food printers are changing what we eat. And this was by Jonathan Chadwick. Back in 2017, so this isn't recent. So this technology has been around for a little while, guys. It isn't brand new. They've been tinkering with this in labs for some time, and probably governments have been tinkering with it decades ago. And you know, we saw in Star Trek, something we've mentioned in this episode already, the replicant or the replicator. I can't remember how they said that. Replicants were Blade Runner. I think it was the replicator in Star Trek, where you could literally replicate anything you really wanted. And is this where we're heading? Is this the start of replicant society where you can just replicate anything you want, from pets to chicken nuggets? But anyway, 3D printed food offers new possibilities such as intricate designs, automated cooking, mass manufacturing, and personalized meals. But will it ever replace the traditional methods we know today? I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes, it is. Let me know if you're going to go out on a limb and also say yes, it is, or tell me as to why you think it won't be readily accepted. But anyway, moving on. Imagine stepping into the kitchen of the great smart home. And again, they put the smart home, and we're already setting into kind of smart homes and smart technology and around the household. We have smart refrigerators, smart microwaves, smart food processors, smart TVs, smart every motherfucking thing. And we even have condo buildings in you know, places of inhabitants here with smart technology built into the walls, so you can't really escape it. You know, it's going to have facial recognition instead of a key. You're going to use your fingerprint to get into your apartment and stuff like that. And once you walk through the doors, you can tell Alexa or Google Home or whatever technology is already built into these walls to run your bath. And maybe, hey, can you start printing my 3D chicken nuggets? I'll be up in 2 minutes. But smart homes, they are the way of the future, and that is where we're heading in the Agenda 2030, the one world order. We will be all singing, all dancing, bells and whistles, smart technology everywhere, wearable, as well as in, you know, our environmental areas. They will be total surveillance, totally tracking, and everything will be smart and loaded up with artificial intelligence. But imagine sitting between your connected stove and a lot enabled toaster is a 3D food printer able to print and cook your favorite meal in a single touch of a screen. There's some smart technology for you right there. And as I said, this isn't the stuff of science fiction, guys. This isn't things we're watching on the movie screens or on our TVs at home. This is stuff that is actually going on in real life, in laboratories, that they do aim to be bringing to us on a commercial level in a not so distant future. According to 3D food printing company Natural Machines, this concept is not far from becoming a reality. Others, such as pizza printing specialist BHEX, believe it's a matter of years before it becomes a common feature. And when it is they're saying a common feature. This already exists. We don't even know if we're already eating 3D printing food unwillingly, especially at some of these chains like Kentucky Fried Chicken, Subway, McDonald's, Burger King. Those would probably be the most likely candidates to introduce that stuff without the public knowledge of it being known that we were being guinea pigged with this Frankenfood 3D shit. But anyway, Tech Republic spoke to some leading companies in 3D food printing to find out more about the processes of printing food and its benefits, and how long before we come home to our 3D printed dinner. Until 2014, 3D food printers focused predominantly in intricate sugar-heavy confections. So they're already making candy, I guess, with 3D printers. Then one Barcelona-based company made strides towards 3D printing something you could actually eat for dinner. Natural Machines is a 3D food printing and LOT company and maker of the first 3D food printer to make both savory and sweet foods. With fresh ingredients, sorry. Established in 2012, the company originally focused on 3D printing sweets and snacks before shifting focus due to COO and co-founder Lynette Kuxma's healthy eating habits. I'm pretty sure she's going to be another one of these Greta Thunberg virtual signaling vegans. On discovering the concept of 3D food, Kuxuma wanted to know why they couldn't use their own fresh, wholesome ingredients rather than pre-filled food capsules for food printing confections. Additionally, her co-founder owned a bakery and wanted to distribute a product around the world, but was held back because it was too expensive. The expense was not the ingredients or the labor that went into those cakes, but it was the packaging and the preserving, the freezing, the shipping that made those cakes quite astronomical in terms of price. The company needed a solution to enable mass manufacturing in several countries around the world, as well as something that could print a wider range of foods. In 2014, they launched Foodini. That sounds a little bit like what the Jawas in Star Wars used to say. They used to say Houdini, but Foodini sounds a little bit like that. Sorry about that, guys. But anyway, 4.7-inch high Android powered. There we go. We're talking about your smart technology. It's Android powered, so it's going to have some artificial intelligence built into boot. And you'll probably be able to download these apps in a matter of months, if not years. But I'm going to guess sooner than later we're going to start seeing this kind of technology, because this was, in 2014 they were partnering with Android. And this food printer is in production and available for select customers. Maybe like, the Kardashians, the Tom Hankses, the Brad Pitts, the Eminems, the Beyoncés, the Aaron DeGeneres. That sort of people might be enjoying these 3D printed foods at a moment. And who knows if these people are even actual people. They might be replicants with artificial intelligence pumped into them. Stranger things are going on and afoot. But all you need is a Wi-Fi connection to choose recipes from Natural Machines community site, which they can also do remotely from a smartphone or tablet. So here we go, traceability, everything's going smart, everything's going to be run electronically, which probably you already know and already is pretty much the way of life and what's going on. It's almost too late to escape this. But up to 5 food capsules can be loaded into the printer at one time. It also adds different nozzle sizes to accommodate different textures, which means additives such as maltodextrin aren't needed in the food to hold its shape. From day one, we're designed Foodini to work with food, and we've always designed it to work with fresh foods. So a lot of the systems, so this may be a little bit unlike the KFC, let's just make this shit in a lab, who gives a fuck, it's only for human consumption. After all, these people seem to want to kind of, and again, we're saying fresh products, how fresh is it going to be if they're kind of making it into some kind of paste and put it in a tube? that then you load into your 3D printer at home before you go on Android and have a little look what app in what your artificial intelligence suggests you should be eating that night for your supper. But it isn't suited to print every type of food, nor was it intended to. Rather, there are certain foodstuffs that the 3D printer excels at, such as crackers or certain pasta shapes. We've actually used a lot of artificial intelligence. There we go. I'm just talking about artificial intelligence and artificial vision. Not sure what artificial vision is, to watch what's happening so we can adjust things as necessary and print fast as possible. If you're talking about a flat cracker, you can do that in 20 seconds. You can do a personalized pizza in 5 minutes. Foodini is currently a B2B product being rolled out gradually to professional kitchens. So again, are these being rolled out to professional kitchens at the KFC or the McDonald's factory that makes the patties and the nuggets and shit that gets sent out to their many franchise outlets? Based on market feedback, Natural Machines will then adjust the product within the aim of targeting home users. Once Foodini reaches home kitchens, it will be beneficial for people who don't enjoy cooking or otherwise cannot. And again, maybe these little tiny smart homes that we might be suddenly stacked and packed into, they might not come with kitchens and stuff like that. You might just get a little 3D printer and a little kind of cool box, I guess, to keep the tubes of food in. Who knows? Let me know if you think that might be something that is a possibility, or any thoughts of your own. Always encourage open-minded and critical thinking and comments. It should certainly be an option that one will produce more appetizing results than food from a microwave tray. Remember, once upon a time, TV dinners and microwave dinners were things of a revolutionary concept. Foodini will also enable home users to manufacture certain foods that are similar to those made by mass producers. Again, you might be able to download the KFC app, the McDonald's app, or maybe Benihana's, I don't know, and print it at home, just like going to the restaurant. But this will enable users and manufacturers certain foods that are similar to those made by mass producers, but this time with ingredients with less salt and artificial additives. Has likened the 3D food printer to a food factory shrunk down size. That's what we're talking about. You're going to have your own little, they're making, why need a kitchen when you can have your own food factory shrunk down to size on the corner of your shelf at only 4.5 inches wide. I'm guessing that might be some of the 3D printed food there. She also thinks we are at the mercy of what food manufacturers decide to produce. And again, we'd almost be at the mercy of this lady's company as to what we can produce, because they're going to be the ones supplying these tubes of healthy food to use in the Foodini printer, right? So it's not like we can kind of maybe make our own kind of pastes and have refillable tubes. Hell and heaven forbid they wouldn't want that, because then we wouldn't be customers anymore. They want us to be consuming. It could also reduce food waste, and here we go back with the sustainable development, climate, coal, environmentally friendly, carbon footprint, Greta Thunberg bullshit narrative. Read it at your world. Foodini is September's World Seafood Congress in Reykjavik, Iceland, and its ability to reprocess cuts of fish into more appealing shapes. What the fuck? Maybe dinosaur-shaped fish. So let's move on a little bit. There's a concept of ugly fruits and vegetables. So food that looks ugly, with this 3D printer, you can make it look far more attractive and appealing to the eye, I'm guessing, is what they're getting at here. So if you don't like the way a particular, if you don't like your bananas yellow and bendy, I guess you can make them brown and square with this 3D printed food technology. Maybe you could even shape your food to look like a human baby. Think about that. In regard to what may or may not be going on with the Hollywood elites, Jeffrey Epstein and all those types in the Bilderbergers and the Bohemian Grove type places. With the global population here again, more sustainable development agenda 2030 stuff, set to reach 9 billion by 2050, at which point agricultural systems will be unable to supply food to everyone, sustainable development, inequality, the end in poverty, all this kind of shit. Okay, and there they are, the good old United Nations get in on the act, and get a little mention and a cameo in this article, because of course it is their agenda 2030 that all this pandemic, scamdemic, masks, lining up, cashless society, social engineering is all about. And this is why we're seeing this 3D printed food stuff becoming sort of more and more prominent, and now going to be used by companies like KFC, possibly Starbucks and shit like this in the future. They're all going to be 3D printing stuff. You might not even have stores anymore. There might just be vending machines lined up. You won't even need like baristas. There'll just be a kind of automated CGI holographic barista. I guess you can also probably choose what barista you want. But anyway, there we go. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization combating food waste would help sustainability growing forward. It would also cut down on plastic packaging if we were ever to take our own reusable food capsules to a store, fill it up, and take it home to print. A little bit like we used to do with the milk bottles. I think we're going to have a lot of different things coming together to make sustainability work, but I do think 3D printing will be a big part of that. Of course it will. Foregone conclusion. And I guess that is a little demonstration of your 3D printed food right there. We might have to download that for our thumbnail. That looks a good one. So how much more? My God, this is a very, 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 very long article. And there's some more examples of food. So I'm going to kind of like scan through it for you, and if you choose to stop and pause it to read it yourself, that is entirely up to you. Fast food that's out of this world. Chef 3D connects to a computer that tells it which ingredient to use. Okay, so I'm guessing the Chef 3D would be another application that you upload or download onto your 3D printer, and then using what ingredients I guess you have available, it would be able to conjure up some kind of recipes for you. But anyway, as we said, guys, it is a bit of a long article. We are almost getting near the bottom of it, and I think that is... Oh no, NASA had already... let's get NASA in as well as the United Nations in this little bit of, you know, we've got to use these big, large, corrupt organizations, because these are the ones that are contributing greatly towards enslaving us all and ensuring that a one world order comes to be sooner than later. But NASA had already originally envisioned really boring food pills and food bars for astronauts to eat during a 5-year return trip to Mars, before looking at BHEX for some better alternatives. So they're going to be using this kind of technology for astronauts in space travel. Maybe Space Force are going to have this in their spaceships. But powdered and dehydrated ingredients used in the printing capsules would last longer and easier to store. I mean, you know, there are some kind of what could be considered benefits to this, having a whole bunch of powders and stuff that was dehydrated, that all you'd need to do is kind of add a little bit of water and pop it into a machine that could rehydrate. Certainly from a prepper standpoint, that could you know, you could probably put years and years worth of food in the same amount of space that probably a couple of months worth would do. But anyway, as I said, this is a pretty long article, and if you choose to stop and read the rest of it for yourself, go right ahead. It's like the article that never ends. But what you can also see by the length of this article is the amount of information and research and people that are looking into making this a household thing in the not so distant future. So the future is cooking. Natural Machines wants to upgrade Foodini with additional piece of functionality before it starts targeting home kitchen users. The ability to cook, coupled with artificial intelligence and big data, this will usher in a whole new level of autonomous cooking. big data, and that was something also that was in prominent in the Upload TV series or streaming series, because it's not on TV, it's on a streaming app. Was that you did need an awful lot of data. Now, I'm guessing data in this currency, cashless society, all tracing, all singing, RFD, Chadu kind of society that they are leading us to, you will need to earn data, and maybe data will be something that we will earn instead of salaries in wage packets that would go out and produce our labor or hand over our labor in return for data supplements that we can then use to buy 3D printed food or some shit, you know what I mean? Maybe that is where the cashless society is going, and where the good economic reset is going to be, that we're going to be paid in data or data, however you do. Again, this is still going on and on and on. Maybe I should have chose a different article than this. But as I said, if you want, you can stop and pause the screen at your leisure to read this. I think we're almost there. At the end. Yes, we are. All right, so what did they say just to finish up? I think you will see them at mass food production facilities and in novel settings first. Of course they were. That's how they kind of have to introduce it to us. Make it quirky, make it inaccessible, make it kind of a treat. And then, you know, all of a sudden, hey, you can bring this shit home. You don't need to go and line up and have 3D printed food at your local KFC. Just have it at home. Download the app on the Play Store. Use your government-issued data to order your own 3D printed nuggets. But anyway, then you may start to see them in restaurants and grocery stores, and the final destination is your kitchen as a domestic appliance. The purpose of this technology is to make life easier. Of course it is. They've only got our best interests at heart. These evil elites and the members and the CEOs of the company of the militarized industrial complex, all working together hand in hand to bring about the one world order. But there you go, guys. That was a little bit from the Tech Republic. My apologies. It was a very, very long article. We did skip through a lot of it, but I think we did get to the brunt of it in the main part of substance to digest about 3D printed foods. Little pop up there we don't need to see. Hopefully this article isn't as long, but anyway, 2020, here are 3D food printers that are available in contemporary times, not in the future. This is stuff you can get your hands on now if you've got the money for it. What is 3D food printing? You already know. We've been watching the video long enough. It's when they use fucking pastes in lab-based substances to put into a printer that then makes edible substances. Most food 3D printers use extrusion 3D printing technology, much like regular desktop 3D printers. Instead of using plastic material, though, 3D food printers use a paste type ingredient. Most common ingredient are chocolate, pancake batter, and cream, and I guess they use these in vending machines and stuff already. Maybe Tim Hortons uses a 3D printed thing to make its donuts. Although there are many other possibilities, even pizza, there are 3D printed layer after layer, generally through a syringe-like extruder. To get better overview of this niche, we have put together a comprehensive list of food 3D printers on the market. This selection is based on available food printers under $6,000. We also mention a few other food customization solutions, including coffee 3D print, and I think Starbucks as well as KFC are trying to get in on the 3D printed act. You can get yourself a 3D printed Frappuccino, I believe. But anyway, food ornamentation and printing food molds. So 10 food printers available on the market. In the Netherlands, you can buy one at 3,300 euros by Focus Flow. There's the size of it. Chalk Edge Chalk Creator from the UK at £2,380. CreatorBot 3D food printer in China. That sounds like it'd be fun. I am CreateBot. Don't know if it sounds like that at all. That's 2,300. Micro Make again from China. That's under 1,000, 999, or if you turn it upside down, 666. Muse again, China, 4,400. Natural Machines, Foodini from Spain, the very long article we were just looking at. That's $4,000. ORD Solutions from good old Canada, where I'm currently residing. You can get that for $2,000 Canadian, I'm guessing. Pancake Bot, that sounds fun as well. That's almost better than having an R2D2. Hey, Pancake Bot, make me some pancakes as you wish. You can get that for only $300. My goodness, if we can get our hands on a Pancake Bot, that would be great. To make a video about ZBot. You can get that 500 to $5,000. I guess there's various ZBots that you can get, and Zmorph from Poland at 3,500 or 3,050. Pros and cons: time saving. It can be less time consumption. You can launch 3D food print and move on to other activities. No need for manual operation. It's customizable. You can be creative, and I don't know if those are some edible 3D printed foods there. I think they are. Not just any sort of food can be printed. The food must be in a form of paste. We've already saw that. Partial cooking. 3D printing processes doesn't encompass every step of a meal's preparations. For instance, the 3D food printers cannot bake a cake or sprinkle oregano over a pizza. Food printers are a little bit expensive, 1,000 to 5,000. There are exceptions, and there is a risk of failure. Overview. This, I guess, is what they look like. There's one there. There's another one there. That's the chalk edge. Let's see if they have a picture of Pancake Bot. There's Create a Bot. Not as cool as I thought it would look like. It just looks like a box with a needle. Come on, Pancake Bot. Where's Pancake Bot? Muse. That's the chocolate one. Natural. That's the Foodini. Look, that was the one we were just looking at. Foodini! Come on, Pancake Bot. That looks shit. Don't like the look of that one. That's got to be Pancake Bot here. It is Pancake Bot. Look, that's Pancake Bot. And I guess you put your syringe of batter there, and that's a little hot plate underneath that makes your pancakes. Looks like they've made a love heart one. So that's disappointing. I was expecting something, like I said, to look like maybe R2D2 or 7-Zark-7 from Battle of the Planets. But that's Pancake Bot for you. That's the cheapest one that you can buy. There's ZBot. That looks a bit weird, almost like a mousetrap. That was Zmorph. But anyway, guys, there are some 3D printers that are available for you. There's a 3D pizza for you there. I don't know if you'd want to be chomping down on that. Maybe you already have Little Caesars, Pizza, the $5 pizza kind of places. Maybe those are 3D printed pizzas and we just don't know about it. To print 3D food, we can let our imagination take over. Users indeed have the opportunity to create their own 3D models with special CAD software. However, it's also possible to directly download any 3D model on that place website. Goes on about the cost. Sustainable food care, of course, we need to get our little bit of sustainable development in it. Should you watch this video? How long is it going to be? 1 minute 40.
US Space Agency NASA is funding a company to develop 3D printing of foods. Advocates of 3D printing technology say delivering long-life foods from alternative ingredients could help solve the problem of feeding astronauts and ease food shortages on Earth. Manned space missions require stocks of non-perishable foods. 3D printing could be a promising solution to the problem of feeding crews. Traditionally, food sources perish easily. Proteins, vitamins, fibers, and carbohydrates can be derived from alternative nutrient sources like insects, grasses, algae, and seeds. Stored as powders, they can last for years. When combined with sugars and oils, nutritionally dense foods can be created layer by layer. NASA will provide US firm Anjan Contractor with $125,000 over 6 months to make the technology viable. 3D printing is already used to build complex machine parts and furniture.
What was very interesting there that they said that they would use algae and insects to make the powders. Algae and insects, folks. And there is your 3D food pastes for you there. Algae and insects. Don't know what's worse, lips and assholes that you eat in hot dogs, or algae and insects. But anyway, the army is carrying out scientific research to provide a personalized food for their soldiers. Again, maybe removing the need for MREs. They can just take a few powders and a microscopic or a micro food printer that they can use out in the field. No need to carry around MREs. Something that I'm a fan of here at TSP TV. Something I do a lot of videos reviewing of rations from around the world. But I would like to try some astronaut food. That would be something interesting. But if or not, I would do a 3D printed nugget review. Who knows? Maybe. Never say never. But that's about that one. That article. And there's this kind of these barista things now that they take a picture of you while you order your coffee, and then they kind of print it into the foam of your latte. Interesting stuff. Don't know if that's conceited or weird. Drinking a foam of yourself and with your image. Sometimes, remember, you used to see like images of Jesus in the toast. You can almost do that every day if you wanted to. Wouldn't be such a miracle then. But anyway, guys, there was that little article about the amount of 3D printers for food purposes that are available in today's market. If you've got the money to spare, why don't you get yourself one? And if somebody wants to send me a pancake bot, please do. I'd greatly appreciate it.
It's an innovative entree that goes from printer to pan. Giuseppe Schianti came up with the idea 2 years ago. Since then, he's been printing and preparing vegan steaks like this for people around the world.
It's about new meat. It means plant-based meat substitute. So we are creating the first 3D printed plant-based beef steak.
The edible ink with ingredients such as rice, peas, and seaweed comes in a cartridge like this. A 3D printer takes the role as sous chef, working meticulously to prepare the meat in under 10 minutes. It's printed with the same texture and appearance of a normal beef steak. After a sizzle on the skillet and a dash of oregano, it's time to eat. Mouth full, one taste tester eagerly weighed in.
I think it's good.
Schianti says the technology offers an alternative to meat, since livestock farming is one of the leading contributors of greenhouse gas emissions. He says it also tackles the issue of sustainability, with many Americans eating double the recommended amount of red meat. First, the fake steak has to win over consumers' taste buds, one print at a time. Gwen Baumgartner, CBS News, London.
Final little article we are going to look at before we wrap this episode up is this one, 3D food printing. What this kind of shows is a couple of companies in individuals that are looking into research and producing some kind of 3D stuff in the future. As we already have established in this video, the benefits that they are suggesting that can be achieved from 3D food printing are thus sustainable development, all that kind of shit, space, time, preservatives, agriculture, you know the narrative. But anyway, as we go down, food and memory, experiment uses printed sweets, researchers at Lancaster University and the Dovetailed Group are testing the effects of various foods on human recollection. More specifically, they aim to test the link between sweet or bitter, I guess. So this is just, as I said, some articles that you can click on and read more about people and companies and organizations that are trying to develop 3D printed food. And this one was interested. The Swedish municipalities look to 3D printed food for the elderly. And elderly, again, was something that were targeted and seemed to be the only victims of the COVID scam pandemic in particular elderly people that were in nursing homes. Due to its medical applications, food printing is providing many new possibilities for disenfranchised groups. One of the way it does this through novel designs and textures which particularly appeal to the elderly. I don't know why elderly people would suddenly be appealing towards 3D printed food. It'd almost see the opposite. I'd imagine the elderly would sort of appeal to the sort of more traditional ways of eating. Certainly the elderly people in my family would not really be, I mean, when microwaves were new, I can remember my grandmother refusing to have one in the house. But anyway, for some reason, elderly people seem to be appealing, or they're trying to appeal 3D printing to the elderly, rather, we should say. One example of where 3D printed meals for the elderly has succeeded in Sweden, where are employing the technology to create foods that appear enticing to the elderly population by designing them a certain way. Fascinating. Is this going to be a long? I think it is going to be a long one. But let's just read the first opening line. We don't want to get too off track with why the Swedish are reshaping the food to be more appealing to the elderly in a 3D printed manner. I don't know why. But anyway, in Halmstad, a municipality, why can't I say that word? But anyway, this guy, Richard Asplund, believed that the elderly people consider it difficult to chew and swallow. I guess, you know, if you have false teeth and stuff like that, dentures, maybe chewing food is a little bit difficult, and pureed food obviously would be easier and more palatable if you were suffering with lack of teeth. While this food is edible, it does not look very appetizing to many elderly folk. So as a result, they come up with a method to pure food so it will look aesthetically pleasing, and they designed the match of traditional food that the elderly residents may find appealing. So again, are they using these elderly residents in nursing homes, I'm guessing, as kind of guinea pigs to test out this 3D printed food? I'm not sure, but 3D printed meals for the elderly. There you go. There's a picture of some circles there. I'm not sure if there's some New World Order symbology there, perhaps. The food remembers similar to the purified food, but also resembles recognizable familiar dishes. The texture would resemble a chicken leg. However, the consistency may be similar to panna cotta, kind of like a tofu-y, sort of gelatiny kind of substance. Another partner in this project is this lady, Evelina Hogland from the State of Innovation, and they've been helping patients who have difficulty swallowing to eat sufficient food. So that's their reasoning behind that. Actually, it wasn't as long as I thought it would be. But there you go. The Swedish municipalities are designing 3D printed food for the elderly because it looks nicer to them. Jet Eat prints vegan meat with authentic taste and texture, some more Beyond Impossible meat type products there. The convenience it provides, it also opening new opportunities in terms of novel recipes and ingredients. Canning Town primarily prints school lunches for the elderly and the young, and again, the elderly and the young are targets of the COVID scam pandemic. You know what they're going to kind of expect for kids to do at school with masks and shields and little plastic units that they sit in around their desk, not allowed to go to recess with their friends and stuff like that. And the poor elderly eating their printed food as well. Looks like the kids and the elderly are going to be targeted with this Frankenfood lab-based paste that then gets put into a machine, and they print it into fancy-looking shapes. There we go, more plant-based steak printing. Bizarre, using pastes and plankton and algae to mixed together to make something that looks and sort of tastes and smells a little bit like steak. I've got a little video we'll put in here perhaps, or after, just before we head back to the studio and finish up. Here it is, Starbucks. They're offering 3D printed Dream Pops and ice cream. Good old Starbucks. Let's read a bit about them, as well as KFC. I did mention earlier that Starbucks had some kind of 3D printed thing going on. And here it is. Summer is here and all its cold desserts that it brings. Yes, we're talking about ice cream. Startup Dream Pops has covered on that front, bringing their 3D printed ice cream to Starbucks. While the ice cream is currently only available in selected locations in LA, it will be there all summer. So if you're in Los Angeles, you can now get a 3D printed ice cream at your Starbucks. Anyone is in and out in LA that is watching this, why don't you go try one and let me know how it tasted? Be very interested. But Dream Pops has previously collaborated with a whole bunch of other companies such as Apple, Nike, and Bumble, among others. Not bad for a startup, especially considering that they've got this deal with Starbucks, indeed. So Dream Pops in LA, we're thrilled to announce this partnership with Starbucks all summer long. You can find at 5 Starbucks locations in LA. Head to one of our select stores to get your daily coffee fix and cool down with a delicious Dream Pop, and tag it in your Instagram. So there's your 3D printed ice cream, and I guess that might be a Dream Pop there. The company produces vegan ice cream, and again, your Greta Thunberg vegan climate cult ideology and mentality, hive mind comes to mind. They probably all love this vegan ice cream that's printed on a printer. That contains no milk. No shit, it would be vegan if it did. Instead, opting for a plant-based. It's all about plant-based. Remember, that could be algae, plankton, or moss. All plant-based items that they are indeed using to make this Beyond Meat kind of shit that people think is healthy and good for the environment. And you can get Berry Dreams, Mango, Rosemary, Coconut, Vanilla, Matcha, as well as Dream Flight, which includes all tastes mixed. So you can get these, and a 3-star Michelin chef come up with the taste of this vegan 3D printed. Don't know, wouldn't you be like a computer programmer, not a chef? But the company states we aren't a pop-up business. We are dreamers and lovers of innovation. We see the food as a vehicle for a shared experience, and by offering pops that are chef and design driven, we are hoping to provoke meaningful conversations to reimagine food for our generation. And the generation we're talking about are the climate cultists, led by Thundercunt Thunberg. Anyway, the ice creams will be available in Starbucks and La Brea, Melrose, and Stanley, 3rd Street Promenade, Wilshire, and Santa Monica, as well as a couple of other places. So if you're in these areas, get yourself out there and try one. You can leave a reply if you like. So there's Starbucks in on the 3D printing as well. South Korean researchers are developing meals with better nutritional value using 3D printing technology. A Dutch chef printed food for a restaurant with teaming up with Biflow. FabRx repurposed Magic Candy Factory 3D printer into personalized medicine maker. Oh my goodness. So you're going to be able to 3D print your Oxycontins and Vicodins and Percocets if you've got an opioid addiction, it would look at here. That's interesting. Let's have a quick gander at that. And we won't keep you much longer because this is probably dragging on a little bit, but this is from 2017. Look, London company has set up a Kickstarter. It's all about Kickstarters and startup companies, all this stuff, to fund a new way of producing medicine for children. Again, children being targeted here. They're after your kids, folks. Molding the minds of the young to accept the social engineering of tomorrow. Just like Hitler did with the Hitler Youth in his propaganda, brainwashed the young into believing it. National Socialism was a great thing for the nation. And look what happened there. So this is what they're doing now. They're trying to brainwash the minds of the young into accepting all this kind of stuff. But you can use it to, I guess, make the medicine a prettier shape or possible flavor for kids. Originally meant to produce candy treats, the repurposed printer can print all sorts of fun shapes. It can arrange the medicine into, again, this is deadly, you can maybe create your medicine to look exactly the same as sweets, and who knows if it's kind of date rape drugs that you're giving to your kids, you may be able to drag them off into a truck and then take them to your basement, if you're, you know, that way of inclined. But anyway, 3D printed medicine. And of course FDA will probably be involved with that, as of course you can't produce food or drugs without the FDA's approval. So lots and lots of things going on with 3D printed food, and we just saw there the prospect of 3D printed medicine. So part of a new business model for famous restaurants that use them. Let's see what these 4 restaurants that are using the printers now, if there's anything we know of. Food Inc. Don't think I've heard them. There's a video there we could watch. Okay, these are kind of like fancy restaurants. Nothing that we've looked at. Do you want to have a little look at that one? It didn't play, never mind. So La Bocanera, so they're fancy upmarket, trendy, sort of unattainable kind of restaurants for the common folk. Maybe a wedding or an anniversary might be the only time you get to go and experience that kind of culinary designs. I don't know why it won't play the videos, but anyway, guys, as you can see, it's not just KFC and Starbucks. A whole bunch of companies and laboratories are up in this 3D printed food shit, and it is only a matter of time before this is in almost every household, I could imagine. So let's get back to the studio and wrap this up. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, having a little look at the 3D printed food, something that's probably going to be in your house in a not so distant of future, and possibly will be in the high streets, the shopping malls, the food courts, before we know it, in a blink of an eye. 3D printed food, I'm pretty sure, is going to be everywhere, and just every part of day-to-day society. At the moment, it still does seem a little bit science fiction, a little bit far-fetched, but as we've seen, guys, lots of depth and stuff to get your minds into in today's episode. And if you have any examples or any experiences with 3D printed food, comments below, let me know. Love to hear what you've got to say about what we talked about today. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to bore you. This has been a pretty long episode up until now, so all I can say, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in to TSP TV. As always, this was brought to you courtesy of Ship Video Productions. We'll see you in another one. Until then, take care of each other, be excellent to each other, and keep it thrifty. We'll see you soon, guys. Thanks for watching.